Hello.
All right, and I think we're live. I know cams aren't up yet, but hello, welcome back for those that are sticking in, and welcome in for those recently tuning in to the stream. We've got our 19 and 23 matchup, which I believe is University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign campus, and then University of California Santa Cruz campus for our matchup today. Seating is pretty close, so looking forward to seeing how this matchup goes. And I know, Tripper, you mentioned before, it's been a while since you've been casting, but glad to have you here on the mic. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well. It'll be an exciting match today. They look pretty evenly matched, the two teams. We have, with the exception of Gladon on Uiuc's team, who is almost X+, but,
yeah, I feel like Gladon is definitely the X factor right now for Uiuc, because I think everyone else is pretty well dispersed between, I think U and S plus is what I generally saw, just going through some of the general player skill levels. But I mean, like having almost X plus in this kind of a talent pool, you basically just get to determine, like either you send Gladon in and then figure out who gets to be the opponent for that set. Or if you need it, you get to send Gladon in, and ideally we'll probably get a pretty strong victory out of that set, whichever one it ends up being.
Yeah, but you still have to position yourself well. Last year, Uiuc was higher seeded than U Alberta, and they got upset because Alberta got a good draft off. Ben X, who was their, I guess, high X ranked player last year, wasn't able to get that good of a win, and Alberta managed to take that game. So it's all up in the air with the fact that the amount you can contribute as a high ranking player is limited. And we saw Neko Meow almost defeat RKY 2 seasons ago, so anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
We did also just have Ricky on stream earlier from the U Toronto U Waterloo matchup as well. So, which that was a very strong set from Ricky as well. Also, I believe hot off of I think a 4th place from Snow's Infinite. So also big shout outs to them because that was pretty strong tournament in its own right. Of course, now with the time at hand, we have our first matchup, which is probably I don't want to say it's an important match, but I feel like it's definitely like the second most important beyond that, how you settle match 3/match 4. But it looks like with the way things go, we've got, I think, Lays and Zonkbonk as our opening match, so...
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how this goes. It does look like UCSC has a bit of an advantage in this matchup. Mid-high U versus SS rank.
Yeah, just given the stats in general across the board, I feel like this is probably going to be a pretty tough matchup for Lays in this case. Not too bad of a speed disadvantage on paper, but I feel like given that this is generally a slower matchup, having almost a what is that, like 0.75 disadvantage is definitely going to be felt pretty hard going through.
Yeah, I mean, the speed is multiplicative, and it's like when we're going into these matchups, if a lot of that comes out as opening pressure, you can get knocked out pretty quickly.
Oh, good down stack there from Zonkbonk, able to still get some pretty solid pressure, and both players actually matching pace with each other very well.
Yeah, Lays opening with the SDPC spin. Zonkbonk in a bit of a rough situation, has surge, but reads for the fractal and gets knocked out there in the warm up. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think one of the difficult parts about that as well is like Zonkbonk saw that fractal was an option, but it required 2 Ts to set up. And just being that high up on the board, that's a really tough spot to put yourself through, because you don't really have a lot of skim options unless you kind of do it off the top of the stack.
Yeah, and when you have that surge built up as like a counter, it can be kind of risky going into positions where you can't really clear a line to get that sort of protection against garbage. Lay's playing very, very fast in both warm-up and this first match here. Almost hitting 2.6 PPS.
Oh, wow, okay. Almost surpassed Zonkbonk a little bit, but after an ill-timed misdrop, Lays takes the first round.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes into the second game.
And yeah, look at this. Lays is doing some pretty nice, solid 3 pieces per second. The SDPC, it can take games if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's weaker than last season, but it's still very strong, and you gotta be careful with the surge, especially with how cheesy surge garbage can get in this season.
Oh, the eyepiece dependency right now for Zonkbonk, and Lays once again is really keeping up all of a sudden.
Yeah, Lays has a lot of pressure in these early rounds. Been able to finish out Zonkbonk very, very quickly. We'll see what happens if we transition into more of a mid-game here with the misdrop by Lays.
And Zonkbonk, very clean stack. That's going to be absolutely no problem to clean up that next round.
Yeah. We haven't really seen a mid-game here. We'll see what happens.
We have I think center variant of TKI from Lays. Zonkbonk right now able to build up some 7-2, but we're probably going to need to see an eyepiece relatively. Oh, guess we have the T-spin set up, but that's going to need a 180 to fix. Able to get it through.
Yeah, and we're seeing Lays play very, very quickly here. Being able to match that speed discrepancy has been very, very useful with his stacking. Been able to take a couple rounds here. And, in this format, every round matters. taking 1 or 2 rounds is really important, even if you don't win the match.
I mean, as we saw from earlier between Toronto and Waterloo, like it literally came down to the last round because of how even the sets were going. And with a 2-2 start, I think this set might be a little bit more in the same.
Yeah, a lot closer than the initial stats and ranking would look to suggest.
All right, Zonkbonk right now probably needs a T to clean things up on the LST over on the side. Able to get a fractal.
Ooh, Blaze with the unfortunate misdrop there.
Yeah, especially on top of all that garbage there. It looks like, honestly, doesn't even really need Surge if you just are able to figure out the misdrops are coming in at a certain time. You can just keep that Surge until you're ready to fully release it, but that's going to be a really strong counter spike.
Yeah, always got to be careful of the opening in combination with Surge. Deadly 25 spike there.
And again, as you mentioned prior, like SDPC Spin still has a really strong ability to be lethal depending on where that garbage comes in. But another also added benefit of as well is for players that tend to have a harder time building up Surge, just doing the first 4 T-spins will get you up to back-to-back 3. So as long as you find one place to get some kind of a spin going, you can still get that Surge of 4, which will help increase your damage output.
Yeah, but Blaze had a bit of a misdrop here, is in a very rough position, lots of dependencies, and gets knocked out there.
All right, so Zonkbonk able to take lead. It's 4-3 though, so still by no means a decided game.
No, and you know, I think you're pretty happy as an SS rank going up against a pretty high ranked U player to be relatively even in this match, despite the misdrops here. Reading for T-spin, they're not able to get the piece over, and it's another round for Zonkbonk.
We do have early O, which will make that SDPC quite a favorable opportunity. Zonkbonk just going with just kind of dig down from PCO.
SDPC spin again, but no Surge this time.
Oh, a little much drop there from Zonkbonk, but stack is still very clean, so not going to be too difficult to clean things up. And Lays right now, the 2.7 pieces per second.
Yeah, very, very fast, but not able to really get any pressure on Zonkbok's side. Zonkbok is kind of chilling here with his 9-0 stack.
Oh, here we go. The double quad ends the Surge. And just with that little extra bit, that's quite a hefty amount of garbage. I mean, we could see almost 300 versus score from Lays in order to pick up game 9.
As we head into game 10 here, Zonkbok with a center well transitioning into a 9-0. Blaze again playing very, very fast. 2.3 pieces per second.
Oh, this is okay. Yeah, a little bit of a tricky stack right now for Zonkbonk, but back-to-back surges there for the added damage. Lay's able to survive, but has to still do a little bit of work on the dig down. Zonkbonk is greeting for a T-spin double, and unfortunately the misdrop will cut in the middle of the stack.
That puts the game tied at 5 apiece. This is very, very close. Anyone could take this as we head into our next round, round 11.
Oh yeah, and Lay's able to use all the clean garbage. Zonkbonk is trying to figure out if there's a way to downstack through. It appears they're able to find an out. Lay's right now just building up an 09 stack, but that's a misdrop in the center. That could be fatal if Zonkbonk's able to get some pressure off.
Lay is playing it very, very fast. Started at almost 3 pieces per second, but the misdrop does seem to be fatal as Zonkbonk moves to match point here.
Right, and again, yeah, this is only game one, so this is not going to be like the be-all, end-all. Unfortunately, misholds the T piece there from Lei, so we're not going to be seeing the C-Sid spike. But Zonkbonk has a misdrop of their own. That is not the... Oh, multiplier on quad. That's going to be a lot of garbage.
Zonkbonk found a really nice S-spin there to get out while maintaining back-to-back.
Oh, Lays is greeting for the T-spin, able to get the I-spin. But unfortunately, the down stack is not going to be there anymore. And we have 7-5 for our first round. And honestly, looking at the, I know this doesn't show up on stream, on our review stats, 2.34 from Zonkbonk in speed, 2.36 from Lays.
Yeah, so, very fast matchup, very strong players. We'll see what happens going into the next round.
It's going to, yeah. I mean, that is quite a way to start things off. But yeah, 8-5 right now from UCSC. They get to decide the start for our game 2, which obviously up by 3 points. Knowing that again, Gladon is going to be somewhere, but you know, perhaps you try to force Gladon out early with a particular tough matchup. Or I guess if Gladon is potentially left as an anchor, you know, maybe just try and figure out among the other 3 players what matchup you would rather have early than late.
Yeah, I mean, Gladon probably sweeps the entirety of the UCSC team. What they really need here is they need to get into a position where they can sack a player, I think. Yeah. They have to look to sack a player here, I think, is probably the best option. While Uiuc is probably looking to get Gladon against one of their higher ranked U players. But, I mean, Zonkbonk is one of their higher ranked players, actually. I believe Fortuity and Telesis are also U, Telesis being around the same ELO as Zonkbonk. So we'll see how they want to position their U-ranked players.
Yeah, I think there's enough of the U rank where we're definitely going to be seeing some even sets, but I definitely think, as you pointed out, like it's going to be those uneven matchups, regardless of which side they're forced through, that are probably going to have a greater impact in terms of how the overall set goes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I know we've got a little bit of time before specific matchups happen or people pick who's going in first. I think we're close to getting one of the 2 picks out. I just have to double check. Let me see.
We have Fortuity, I believe, into FT029.
Yeah, I think this might... Yeah, let me take a look. All right, so I believe that's going to be our next matchup. Seems to be a pretty close to even U-ranked matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Fortuity is about 1,000 TR off FT029. So we'll see how this goes, but FT029 wants to get a win here, right? They're pretty high ranked. They should be favored going into this matchup.
Well, I think in general as well, if you end up being like the higher rated TR player in a CTL set, it usually the pressure is kind of on you to make sure that you get a win, because I feel like a lot of times people just kind of like look at TR and are like, okay, TR is higher, therefore we expect win. But again, sometimes that can be a lot of pressure on a player.
I mean, we saw that in the first match. Came pretty close to an upset.
You know, so, like sometimes people just find a way to lock in and start playing, you know, a whole bunch faster, a whole more efficient than they typically do, and all of a sudden, it's an entirely different ball game.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and as we get started, like, funnily enough, despite that there's probably a difference in the general efficiency from both of these players, I believe we'll be seeing, well, I was going to say pretty even on speed, but we do have stick spin right now from Fortuity in the opener, which is going to be a pretty hefty, opening blitz. And we'll have to see, is it able to get the top out? It causes a misdrop, and so the answer for that question is going to be a resounding yes.
Yeah, Fortuity's not able to get the T-piece where it needs to go, not able to found the down stack.
We can see, this stick spin right now is about 4 pieces per second. FT able to get the TD opener. Fortuity, I think, might have had a misdrop in the overall C-spin spike. So just working their way over to a center well.
Yeah, I mean, FT is using a C-spin opener. I'm not sure exactly which one, but it is a strong counter spike opener against stick spin from Fortuity here.
All right, really nice dono there from FT. Fortuity has to dig through a little bit of garbage in order to make it through to this eyepiece, but able to cycle pretty nicely. And FT doesn't have the greatest access to clean, but this board is not, well, I was going to say not in too much danger, but it's getting close, but the misdrops, unfortunately, from Fortuity.
Yeah, that misdrop really sealed the deal for Fortuity there as FT takes up the second game.
Especially with that coming in right as the surge popped as well, is especially painful. All right, and there's the spike. Fortuity decides to time it, make sure all of that garbage gets sent over to FT, but the board was so low to begin with, that spike's not going to be getting a top out anytime soon.
Yeah, FT playing a lot faster this round compared to the other ones, looking to pressure Fortuity here, has a lot of clean to work with.
That is quite a lot there from FT to deal with, but manages to do so with relative ease.
Oh, finds a really nice S-spin in the down stack there, unable to keep back-to-back, but nice find there nonetheless.
Oh, look at the... doing a little bit of some forecasting play there from FT. Unfortunately, not able to keep back-to-back while doing so, but still a very nice find to keep the stack clean.
Yeah, FT has had some very, very nice finds on the S and Z spins.
Oh, double flip of the eye, unfortunately, from Fortuity. It's going to cause some havoc on the down stack. Has to bail on 2 eyes, but able to make it to a third before that garbage gets too out of hand.
Yeah,
FT right now.
It looks like they've gotten out of danger here. FT is now the one in a bit of a precarious situation.
And precarious indeed it is, as Fortuity take their seconds. Alright, we do have early I and early O, should support quite a number of openers. And I think FT just going to do a little bit of freestyle. Fortuity seems to be going with the LST blitz, but I think we had a misdrop in the process. And the eye gets skewered in the middle as well. FT, if they're able to send some pressure off, as they do, they're going to be taking another game and evening this setup.
Yeah. Even match so far. It's really been looking like whoever misdrops first ends up losing.
Well, speaking of, we do have a good dig option down for Fortuity, but we have another misdrop on the top, which requires a skim, and the eye gets skewered in the center again.
Yeah, just 3 misdrops in a row and you're not getting out of there.
All right, let's take a look. Another attempt at 6 spin and another misdrop there from Fortuity. Unfortunately, the speed is starting to have its toll. Able to still work their way to a very nice bit of garbage underneath. And FT on the verge of topping out. Fortuity needs to get some pressure off and do it now.
They don't find access to that pressure, and FT manages to get out in a very clean situation with their board state, able to send out that pressure.
On another misdrop there for Fortuity as well. So Fortitude, we have early Z and O, which should make 6 spin pretty favorable for the time being. You can see, Fortuity tends to have a preference of building it up on the right side first as well. We do have early miss drop as FT is just holding off on the initial TKI. I think FT is trying to time the spike, but Fortuity has dig options available. So that's not going to be as advantageous of a decision. Oh, and beautiful work getting the counter on the surge as well. Fortuity avoiding the cheese.
Oh, and the team is dropped, but the J-spin looks to keep them alive here.
Oh, and cycles through to the eye as well, and FT is now out of danger.
A huge find from FT on the top of his board there, managing to get the down stack and actually convert it to a win from that position.
All right, and we're seeing Hacha spin now from FT. We do have this. I'm not sure if it was Z misdrop, but because of all spin, we're still going to be able to get damage out of it. And the C spin is not able to work out from 6 spin on Fortuity's board. We do have nice center well from FT, able to get a spike after the surge pop, trying to get as much damage out as possible. But
Yeah,
Fortuity able.
The misdrop there limited their spiking options.
And we're getting a lot of spikes right now from FT, is just really hammering away at all of these, quad into T-spin double. Fortuity hesitates a little bit, and it's going to be a fatal decision, as we're now on match point with, I think, UI's UC in the lead.
Yeah, Uiuc up 6-2, looking to finish it here. Fortuity again with that stick spin.
Unfortunately, it got a couple of wins early on, but we've seen so many misdrops from it early that it just hasn't been able to get that kind of opener game mileage that I think Fortuity's been hoping for.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're seeing a little bit of the hefty spike. Fortuity, excellent uses of those eyepieces to get down. We are getting dangerously close to the top of the board. Not going to be relying too much on the back-to-back surges, just needs to find a way out.
Yeah, but FT's in a bit of a rough position, not really able to send anything. So despite the position of Fortuity there, FT manages...
Oh!
I stand corrected. FT manages a spike from the very cheesy garbage there and manages to get the knockout 7-2.
So yeah, very strong showing there from FT. Again, like we mentioned before, like sometimes you feel the pressure's on you for having that TR advantage. But very good stuff from FT. Definitely, making sure to kind of make that difference known. And Fortuity as well, still taking 2 games in that matchup, keeping things relatively even. So we only have a 3-point difference going into our set 3.
Yeah, I mean, they handled the pressure well. As we head into set 3, we'll see what who Uiuc is going to send out here, if they're going to, looking at this round 3 as it does decide, as going into round 4 and 5, you do have that counter pick. So we'll see what they are looking for here, whether they're trying to save Gladon for rounds 4 and 5, or whether they want to try and win this round outright here.
All right, and well, as we see our the first pick, I think Gladon is going to be saved towards the late game, as DZE is going to be sent in for Uiuc.
Yeah, DZE on the border of U rank against Telesis, who is mid-high U. We'll see how this match plays out.
Yeah, and so right now with UCSC being down, I feel like this is probably going to be one you want to get a pretty hefty victory in some case. But again, as you mentioned, with like the power of the counter pick, if game 3 ends in a loss, you kind of have the power to determine 2 games for the price of 1, which is usually, and especially from last season, deemed to be a very strong tactic.
Yeah, but I mean, if you win this round hard enough, you have Gladon, who's basically a guaranteed 7 points, 7-0. If you win this hard enough, you might not even need the counter pick. You might just be able to win outright with the 7 points. and with Gladon still in the back.
All right, and so warm-up is getting underway. DCE is going to be going for the SDPC spin, as Talisa seems to be going for, I think, LST Blitz. And doing so with relative ease and relative speed to match. DZE with quite a number of rough misdrops at the top of the board. That's going to do it for the warm-up.
Yeah. We'll see what happens going into this round. Looking at the stats, Telesis is pretty favored here. And, you know, they're the mysterious Z rank. They're unranked. So who knows? They could be a lot better than what their TR suggests.
I do kind of forget sometimes, like, the unranked is also supposed to be a measure of, like, yeah, the system isn't really that certain because... But, like, sometimes you honestly could just, like, play TL, not play for a long time, and then come back to it, and your skill level is wildly different from what it was.
Yeah.
Obviously, I do know for, like, in order to participate, all the players had to be ranked at least at 1 point, so that book was probably, you know, somewhat accurate. But with, yeah, the initial 4 pieces per second to start from Telesis, this is quite an opening show that we're seeing. And DZE is just getting caught off guard from all of this pressure.
Yeah, DZE not able to find the protection, not able to counter, and they get knocked out by the very fast LST pressure.
We do have early misdrop from Talisa, so DZE's got a little bit of time to kind of chill out and figure things going forward. A couple of 180s in the process for some all spins.
Yeah.
And
DZE
all
not able to find anything out of that 7-1 stack there, getting knocked out.
right, no early eye in this bag, but that is no issue for the SDPC builds. Fortunately, in Talisa's case, where we'll be seeing a bit of option to build on top of that PCO. Receives a little bit of cheese from the spike, but not in a dangerous position as of yet. And actually finds a really nice down stack.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a bit of a mid-game here. Elisis has garbage available to him, and they've built up quite a hefty surge at 5. They're not able to convert it with anything major, but DZE isn't in the best position here.
Yeah, that's definitely quite a bit of cheesy garbage right now that they have to get through, and the spike is just coming in too fast. So this is going to be taking 3rd straight. Alright, no early O this time around, but also not the earliest of I pieces, although we do see a bit of an interesting habit from Telesis, going for these PCOs with kind of like mid to late I piece, setting up for the I spin, which, I mean, to be fair, we do have the all spin rule set for Season 2, so that is, I guess, arguably probably the most efficient way of going about it, unless you find a different spin.
Yeah, you also have the rule where if you end on a PC, it continues back-to-back. So, I mean...
That PCO, is also quite nice.
PCO can build up a lot of back-to-back, as the T-miss drop from DZE is not survivable there.
Alright, still late I for this bag, but we do have the early O, and Telesis actually going to match the SDPC from DZE and outpace it, beats the misdrop, converts it into a DT cannon, but we have the misdrop on top and make that a double with the S piece. And now DZE looking in fantastic state to capitalize and gets the top out and gets themselves on the board.
Yeah, Telesis looking for the SDP spin early knockout, but the misdrops really hampered him in that round specifically.
Oh, I think double rotate there from DZE. Gonna have a really good down stack opportunity, so the stack isn't gonna be too difficult to manage. Right now, Telesis, this back-to-back chain, opposite 7.
A lot of pressure, but DZE is basically on the bottom of the board. But the late T
Oh,
there gets him knocked out.
yeah. And unfortunately, when you need to spire things in the center, you have to be very aware of where that T or I piece is coming in. Whatever is going to bring that stack down, because if it's not going to arrive in time, anything placed in the center is just going to make it easier and easier for your opponent to get a quick round.
Yeah, and DZE with another Z misdrop here. Unable to access the well, but Telesis isn't in the best position either here.
Oh, T-piece double skim and then sets for another flat piece. Oh,
No.
bit of rough options on the down stack, and we're at match point.
Yeah, Telesis finding the combo down stack there to get a massive spike, taking out DZE and going to match point here.
And with a victory here, if Telesis is able to close things out, this would be, I think, a 4-point difference in UCSC's favor.
Yeah, it puts the teams still very close. Or something like that.
DZE needs to find the snags in the center. And the pressure from Telesis is just too much, and that's going to be a commanding 7-1, taking full advantage of the speed advantage.
Yeah.
And with the difference of 4, now the pressure is on to Uiuc, but they have the power of the counter pick, kind of getting to decide how games 4 and 5 go, depending on what our next matchup sent out is.
Yeah, we'll see what they look to draft here. Especially in the new format where you have the option to buy your counter pick. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I am curious. I don't think I've seen an offer made to buy counter pick so far, but once it starts getting some leverage, I am curious to see how some of those matches are to be going.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if they're going to buy it to try and get, a better pick into Gladon, or if they're just okay with trying to win that non-Gladon matchup by a significant enough margin that they can win the game. Lots of strategy here.
So I guess, yeah, because I guess in UCSC's case, if considering the Gladon matchup, worst case scenario being 8-0, that would put you down by 4. So you just need to figure out a good way to get a 4-point lead. I think at least with a win in one of the sets. So it would have to be, I guess, 7-4 or better in the other set. But if obviously, so we're going to be seeing Blue Nature versus Gladon. If Blue Nature is able to take any additional games beyond worst case scenario, that is going to make things much easier for Neko Meow in the back end for our game 5.
Gladon, this is probably the most one-sided matchup we'll see here. Gladon going for the 4-wide, playing at 5 PPS.
I mean, to be fair, early O is in the queue. I think Gladon is doing this just to do this. But keep in mind, another extra benefit of the 4-wide is, even though it looks kind of funny to go for a pretty hefty speed disadvantage, is that it does cheese up the board quite a lot. Yeah. So for players that tend to prefer playing slower, even though it might seem a little bit like BM or like, oh, you're throwing a match. If a player relies on clean garbage for downstack and counter spiking, a 4-wide just destroys that instantly.
Yeah, and I mean, the consistent combo also keeps you safe and protected from early opening spikes. So it's not necessarily a bad choice here. But, when you can play a 5 PPS, does it really matter which opening you go for?
Well, perhaps we'll find out. Unfortunately, we do have a misdrop over on the left-hand side for Blue Nature. Okay, TST there from Gladon. Little tiny misdrop, but able to make things work.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's 17 seconds for one round. But again, Gladon, like, just given the last matchup that's happening, the pressure is on Gladon to make sure that this set is
as clean as possible.
Exactly.
But I mean, when you play 3.6 TPS, 188 APM, it's not too hard to clean out matches very, very quickly.
All right, we do not have the early O, so we will probably be seeing the 4 wide. Blue Nature, are we going for like F spin, or what are we seeing actually?
I have no idea.
I feel like it's not quite F spin, but it feels like a polymer opener, if that makes sense.
Yeah, something like that, but I think there was a misdrop there that was a bit unfortunate, leading Gladon to go up 3-0.
Oh, Gladon, we do have the misdrop 6 spin, but funnily enough, we're still keeping that. Okay, never mind, we're not keeping back-to-back. All right, it is evidently not worth it for the back-to-back. Unfortunately, the eyes are a little bit early, and Blue Nature's Q has to spend both of them trying to downstack and cannot get access to the garbage.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in this kind of matchup where your elo differs by this much, what is your how do you play this? Do you just pray they misdrop, or do you try and go for something?
I feel like, and again, like, this is just very like rough hypothetical. I feel like Blue Nature's like win condition in this matchup just has to rely around use of clean garbage, and unfortunately, there's been a lot of times where Blue Nature just gets cut off without an option to get through to the garbage in time. And if you can't set that up properly, it's essentially just resigning yourself to the fate where you have to 1v1 Gladon in APM alone, and that is a very strong, or a very tall order in Blue Nature's case.
Yeah, that is a losing proposition, as we've seen as Gladon takes the final and the 7th and final round to win 7-0.
And so that is now going to turn a 4-point deficit into 4-point advantage for Uiuc. But again, we have our last matchup as an almost perfectly even 1-7 S+ match between Muffin Man and Neko Meow.
Yeah, I mean, Neko Meow, one of the veterans of CTL, I believe he has played all 3 seasons now.
That's pretty good track record.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the veteran understanding of the format will help him in this matchup. We'll see. You know, Muffin Man is actually disadvantaged by the TR, but looking at the stats, Muffin Man has a lot higher stats. But, you know, anything is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely keep an eye on how Neko Meow plays, because they're going to have to rely a lot on the efficiency, and I'm curious to see if that comes generally from pattern stacking, from all spins, or if we're just going to see kind of return to send or counter spike garbage, 24/7, because that tends to be a pretty reliable way to do it, but that also means you have to be very careful with how you cycle through your eye pieces, because if you pass up on one, you might not make it to your next one.
Yeah.
All right, and all right. I guess we're seeing the mimic board. We're seeing the double stick spin opener. Muffin Man is not as quick at building it. Needs to find a way to get through to the C spin in time, but Neko Meow gets to the garbage first. And that's gonna do a lethal amount of garbage.
Yeah, I mean, Neko Meow, well known for the stick spin, almost taking out RKY in the first season of the league.
All right. Apparently it's set up. Okay, so apparently Neko Meow did not have proper settings, so I guess has to go back and fix that. Hopefully that wasn't like a. Actually, I'm trying to remember. I was gonna say I'm trying to think of like times when players tend to fumble around with handling. I think the last time I changed it was probably like 9 months ago. It was ads. Oh, okay, I see. All right, so is it?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be playing with ads on your screen.
If you have the option to not, it is probably better for the team to not. If the opportunity presents itself, at least. I would do an ad plug for the UBC esports if I remember the exact plugs, but I'm probably gonna get the names wrong, so I'll leave that for the ending. But
Muffin Man.
All right, and
with the mech TSD.
Oh, we're seeing the ST stacking.
It is
on the left side as well. And that's at 3 pieces per second. That is a lot.
That is really fast. For
a typical S plus play, this is definitely on the faster end of the options. Hopefully that's not contrary to popular belief. But at this point on the timeline of Tetrio skill level, I think anything goes.
I don't know. I feel like this season, everyone is a demon. I don't know.
I have seen 3 PPS like opener loops as early as like S plus. Like season 2 was terrifying right now.
Yeah, I mean, at the start of this season, I feel like I was losing to the mist drop at the top of the board.
Yeah, the T unfortunately just said goodnight. We're getting stuck over here, and there is literally the only skim possible would have been line 21. So that is a tall order.
Muffin Man again with the 3.6 PPS ST stacking.
And Neko Meow able to get a little bit of that 6-spin spike off, but the back-to-back is still going for Muffin Man.
Drop.
All right, and that's 2-1. And keep in mind, as long as Muffin Man gets, I think, about 4 or so wins, I think that it overall will ensure that UIUC takes the set, but any more wins from here on out could be extra credit going into playoffs if they're able to qualify. But a lack of skims is not going to work favorably into a 6-spin spike.
Yeah, the misdrop there. I mean, the pressure is really on Neko Meow to win rather decisively. Muffin Man just has to take a certain amount of rounds and they've clinched the win for their team.
All right, we have 6-spin spike comes in from Neko Meow. And because the mech TSD was built so tall to begin with, that's just going to top out instantly. And as we start to kind of witness one of the early dangers of doing mechanical T-spin stacking is if you don't have early access to some ways to skim down, things can get dire very fast.
Yeah, I mean, the T got placed at the top of the stack, you're unable to clear, and you're in a very rough position, especially facing an opener like Stick Spin that can just put you at the top of your board.
Oh, and this is clean garbage right now for Neko Meow as well. Misdrops on top of it, but it doesn't matter. And we're 1 point away from even overall. 2 wins from Neko Meow would seal the deal. But keep in mind, we do have the mech T-spin double from Muffin Man. Garbage actually works out pretty nicely. Let's break back-to-back early. Neko Meow was pushed very high up on the stack, but is able to work their way over to an eyepiece. We do have a misdrop.
But, I mean, the resolution is clean, and Muffin Man is able to continue stacking here, as both players are...
Oh, covers up the well! Oh, do we have a down stack?
Can Neko Meow get the down stack?
Oh, it gets to an eyepiece, but we need another, and it's not going to show up in time. A difference of 2 games. Right now, if Neko Meow wins these out, it will be 3 games. So Muffin Man can at least secure, I think, no better than a tie. Although I guess a tie probably goes down to who won more sets, and I think that might be... Actually, who is that? Oh no!
Oh no. Indeed, 1 point difference. If Neko Meow can close it out here, I think...
A win here wins by 1 from Neko Meow.
Yeah, it is a 1 point win, so Muffin Man needs to clutch up here.
All right, let's keep an eye out. Muffin Man is building pretty high up, but we have double misdrop from Neko Meow and Muffin Man. The pressure and the nerves are having a substantial impact as both players scramble to find some footing.
But Muffin Man is in a position to send clean soonish. Oh, but the...
Oh my goodness. This is really high up. Muffin Man
Oh.
needs to get to an eyepiece in time.
That's a really bad dependency there. And they're not able to do it. I think Neko Milk has clutched the game for UCSC by 1 point.
The win by 1. Neko Meow sure in fact knows the Muffin Man, but knows how to get the win despite having almost a full pieces per second in speed disadvantage. Just timing that good old-fashioned stick spin spike. And a 7-3 win, wins by 1 point and pulls the upset over UIUC. But again, between all I guess I was gonna say all 5 teams. That's not how it works. It's all 2 teams of 5 players.
Yeah.
But for all the players from both teams tonight, it has been an absolute blast and very good effort all around the board. But man, what a nail biter of a set between these 2 schools.
Yeah. A strong performance by Neko Meow to close out that game despite UCSC going into that last match with a disadvantage.
So University of California, Santa Cruz picks up the win over University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. I think I said those right. With the 26-25. I don't know if we've had too many sets this season come down to 1 point. I mean, obviously we're still kind of in our 3rd week of matches, but that is quite a close set to be had. And gonna be curious. I might have to keep my eyes on both of these teams going forward because these are had some pretty surprising play styles all across.
Yeah, very strong teams here in the lower division of CTL's 3rd season.
So I think with that being said, Carl, I don't know if you want to come on stream for shoutouts if you want us to do the honors. I would have to go back and double check on the stream schedule. I'm going to try and take a look at what our next matches that we have.
I can do that if you would like.
Okay. While you go do that, I'm going to try and figure out what our next matches are for tomorrow just to kind of let stream know what the plan is. So.
Alrighty. Yeah, so anyway, thank you everybody for watching this match. I'd like to do a quick shout out to the sponsors of UBC EA. That would be Rogers, Drunk Deer, and Sprung Studios. Of course, as always, thanks to all the organizers for making this happen. Thanks to the commentators for giving you some nice commentary over all of these great games. Mm-hmm. And special thanks to Ucsc, Ors, Zinix, and Garbo. Honestly, this was a pretty crazy match. I thought it was incredible how the closest game was the last one. And if you guys want to see more of that, make sure to check us out next week as well, when there are more great Tetris games.
Yep, and so just looking at scheduling, it looks like we've got NYU's A and B team will both be streamed, different blocks. The B team will be playing against Amherst as the 28-36 matchup. That will be at 3 Central, 6 Eastern. And then for our 4:30, I said Central and Eastern. No, it's Pacific and Eastern. Sorry, my bad. And then at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern, we will have NYU's A team versus UW's A team as well, which will be 5 versus 9. That also proves to be quite a close set. And obviously from the broadcast today, we've had quite a ride from stream. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And we hope to see you all tomorrow.